Hello, friends. Welcome into Studio Day Hefrey on the day after the Cowboys whooped the Giants. Whooped them. Told you they'd whoop them. They whooped them. Tore them up. By tore them up, I mean weirdly played for a 64-yard field goal at the end of regulation and then won in overtime. Whooped them. Now, the Cowboys have signed Jadeveon Clowney. We got the deets on the contract. Okay, we got that. And we have to play a game of is it the hot dog or is it the bun?
Now this is a hot dog bun.
I think it's a hot dog, too.
The Cowboys signing Jadeveon Clowney is obviously the hot dog. It's not the bun. Anytime a team does something that I said to do, it means that it's a good decision because I've never been wrong. I will now wait patiently in the chat for all the things I've been wrong about. So thank you. I'm looking forward to all those things. And yes, everybody who's in here, good morning. And yes, the kicker is good. Everybody go get a Brandon Aubrey jersey. What a freaking cheat code that dude is. Jadeveon Clowney, 1 year, $3.5 million with a max value of $6 million. It's being reported by Rappaport and Shefty. Clarence will give you the real deets today. Clarence will get it for you. And good morning to everybody that is here. Juan said we need help at the secondary, and that is true. And now we'll talk about why did they sign Jadeveon Clowney if the biggest problem might be the secondary. But first, I always have to acknowledge the super chats. Thank you, Michael, for helping me with the pool fund. We owe $24K still on that thing. Bengals are without Burrow. Can we target a player to trade for? Only if it's a rental guy. If we could find a rental guy on their roster that they don't care about and that they're not going to keep around a year from now, sure. But the good teams with the good quarterbacks that are trying to win the Super Bowl every year, you're not going to get a long-term guy. I do think the Cowboys actually got a good deal on Jadeveon Clowney, and I think the reason that they signed Clowney instead of doing something about the secondary is just the makeup of their roster. At pass rush, everybody's there. That's what you got. And I will ask you this. Who's the best pass rusher on the Cowboys right now, and why is it Kenny Clark? So, if that is the case, that means that your best pass rusher is a 32-year-old defensive tackle. Did I just overage Kenny? Let me make sure I didn't overage him. I wouldn't want to do that to a man. Yeah, he's about to turn 30. Kenny's a young man. Sorry about that, Kenny. So that's fine. It's great that Kenny's a good player, and it's great that Osa's a good player. The best pass rusher so far this season for the Cowboys that plays edge, defensive end, whatever you want to call it, you know who that is? I think it's probably James Houston. Journeyman who makes no monies has probably been the best pass rusher that plays defensive end. That's not good. And so what do? You look around and you say, what can we do? What can we do realistically on our roster right now to make us better today? And Jadeveon Clowney is the easiest and best answer. So he visits the Cowboys. Now, you guys probably know that I'm a big believer in reckless speculation, right? So I'm going to draw up the whole way that this thing happened, and it's going to be nothing but reckless speculation and Jeff guessing. If you want the real details, I'll get them from Clarence Hill later. Thank you, Lunatic, in the super chat. We can talk about coaching in a minute. Yeah. With Clowney, thoughts on Easy playing some linebacker. I mean, it's not really his deal. He's kind of an edge guy, but sure. I mean, I like fun. Here's what happened. The Cowboys had Clowney come visit. Clowney stops by to visit. The Cowboys, from my understanding, are actually interested in signing Jadeveon Clowney the day that he comes to visit. Clowney might be using you a little bit to say, all right, training camp's over, season started, your boy's ready to get somebody's money. Who wants to give me the money? Let me get this out here. I'm going to stop by the Star. When you stop by the Star, it's going to lead every single sports show in the world. Everybody knows Jadeveon's looking for some monies. Who got my monies? The Cowboys play a second football game. Russell Wilson goes for 450 yards after in week one, the New York Giants couldn't do anything on offense because Russell Wilson was under siege because their offensive line is terrible. Then they play the Cowboys. Suddenly he's not under siege anymore. When Clowney visited, Jerry Jones offered him $11 and a refrigerator magnet in the shape of a star. Clowney was like, I'll keep you in mind, partner. As the game against the Giants comes to an end, Jerry fires a text to Clowney or his agent and says, hey, whatever number you wanted, you got it, partner. I was just kidding. Let's get this thing done. Because he's available and because he probably, and I do believe this, becomes your best edge player immediately. And Nate, I told you that was a lie the moment they said it. Matt Eberflus has never in his life schemed up pressure. You can look this up, the history of all of his defenses. The one time he was able to, quote, scheme up pressure was right after he traded for a good pass rusher because he couldn't scheme up pressure. It's Jimmy's and Joe's, baby. It's Jimmy's and Joe's. So, Jerry realized offering $7 or $11 and a refrigerator magnet of his own face wasn't going to get it done, saw what his team was doing and said, all right, fine, let's go ahead and actually pay somebody. We got $39 million in cap space. What's 3.5 on a 1-year deal? It's the most Cowboy thing ever. But at least this time, it's a most Cowboy thing ever that Jeff supports. Clowney has been a good run defender his whole career. He's been a solid pass rusher his whole career. He still was that a year ago. Now, Father Time comes for everybody. I always have some questions about veteran guy who doesn't do training camp and then just kind of pokes his head out and says, who wants to pay me this time? Older and no training camp, we may have a ramp-up period here. And there's probably going to be a little bit of a drop-off from what he's been each year leading up to this. But even with that being said, you had a big position of need, and you got a guy that can still do the job. So Jadeveon Clowney, welcome. I look forward to what you're going to do. So somebody asked about coaching, and secondary and all that. What is this? Jeff, will we ever be able to return a kick without holding? I actually asked Jesse Holly yesterday while we were watching the game. I was like, you think any team has ever or would average better field position if they fair caught everything? Because I feel like every punt and every kick return has a flag. What if you refuse to return ever? But you have Cavante Turpin. You got to try. So now, Clowney, good. When you want to talk about the secondary, I think there's two problems. Problem number one is I think the defensive coordinator just does what he does. And this is going to be mean, and I don't mean to be mean. I can't think of a better word, though. I think the sign of a bad coach is a coach who just does what he does. I think let's just say the best coaches. All right, let's say that. The best coaches can run whatever. They just look at what they got and they say, what do we do best? That's what we're going to do. Trayvon Diggs needs to be up on somebody, putting hands on him, playing man coverage. That's what he does. Trayvon Diggs in zone is bad news. I think you guys saw that bad news. Donovan Wilson, like, I get it that in football, you don't want teams to always know exactly what you're going to do, but if you run 100% zone or 97% zone like they did in that game and you very rarely blitz, they already know what you're going to do. So maybe I'm wrong about this one, and I'm going to change what I'm thinking about it on the fly. Donovan Wilson playing a deep half or single high and being the one deep safety is a terrible idea, and it always has been, and we all know that, and he has to know that. So if you're ever going to line up with one of your safeties as a single high, it should always be Malik Hooker and not Donovan Wilson. So are you switching that just because you don't always want it to look the same? I don't know, but stop it. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea. Yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that. And they don't want to blitz a bunch because they want to play coverage. And I tell you this. Kenny Clark didn't fix the run defense by himself. What they are doing is geared to stopping the run instead of the pass. And I don't know how I feel about that in the year of our Lord 2025 in an NFL football game. Because They're matching. If a team ever runs a second tight end out or ever runs a second running back out, they are matching that with a third linebacker 100% of the time. So they're playing the big bodies to stop the run and taking their chances in coverage, even though they are dropping 7. But you're asking Jack Sanborn to be Brian Urlacher, Fred Warner, and be the cover 2 dropper guy. And he can't do that. He can't do it. So we're asking people to do things they can't do. That's what we're doing. We're asking people to do things they can't do, and that's a bad idea. But this is about Clowney, and Clowney's a good signing. So stop distracting me by making me talk about other things. Even though I am your home for, I should probably change it on my channel, like Jeff Cavanaugh, your home for ADHD Cowboys coverage. Because you could type something in the chat and boy, I'll just go down that wormhole. Like this guy, Brett. Shout out to Brett. Solomon Thomas looked good. He did look pretty good in that game. I think they need another D tackle. I'm going to go watch tape right now and trust the tape will be tomorrow with Brian Broaddus. We're Tuesday, Friday these days at 8 a.m. so that we have plenty of time to make sure that we've got the tape in the bank before we talk about the game. Solomon Thomas made some plays. He is forever super undersized to be playing defensive tackle. And as a point of attack guy, he will get moved, but he's also super active. And so sometimes that works. But just, holy cow, he found a way through. Or, oh, wow, he efforted his way to making a play. Like Solomon Thomas can keep playing. Jay Toya is a 7th-round rookie, and I got hope for Jay Toya. But if for now you had a guy who was your 3rd best defensive tackle, Clark, Osa, somebody else, and then Solomon can play some snaps, and then with Clowney, we could actually rush the passer without Thomas on the field. Whatever. I'm just trying to make the team better. Okay? Yeah, I saw that too, Jeff, but it's very possible. So no see Patrick Walker. And this isn't him reporting. I'm giving my friend cover here. This is not him reporting that it's a multi-year deal. This is him reporting what Jerry Jones said, that it's, quote, more than 1 year. But Jerry also, I'm not going on a Jerry rant here. I don't think Jerry knows how stuff works. So you could just have a multi-year deal, but it's really a 1-year deal. Like it's a 1-year deal, and then there's void years to park cap space, or hell, it could be a 2-year deal with nothing guaranteed in the second year. But in that case, that would be an actual multi-year deal, because if you liked him, you wouldn't have to release him and you could make him play that second year. So the fact that the big national guys are reporting it as a 1-year deal, I'll ask Clarence today, but it sounds like it's a 1-year deal. It may have fake year or fake years after that just to park some money, which they don't even need to do, which you have all the cap space in the world. Just pay the whole thing this year and don't worry about it. Walker need to get Wilkins and Gilmore now. Couldn't hurt. I think it is very clear at this point that the Cowboys, for 2 reasons, are not going to sign Stephon Gilmore, and I actually hope to be wrong. 3 reasons, actually. There's 3 reasons they're not going to sign Stephon Gilmore. 1, they think he's washed. And 2 years ago when he was here, he can't run like he used to run, but he still wasn't bad for you. He was a decent little player. 2, Stephon Gilmore has money in the bank, and he ain't coming in here to play for $2 million. And the Cowboys aren't going to pay for a guy that they think is washed that also gets some monies. And then 3, the reason I don't think they'll make it any sort of significant move at corner is because, as opposed to on the edge, everybody's here. All your players are out there. At corner, you're getting Bland back, I think, in a week or 2. Hopefully you're getting Revel at some point, and he's being counted on for the next 4 years. Diggs is here. They think they have enough invested in corner and enough guys at corner that that'll be okay in a minute. You can't feel that way about your edge guys. There's a guy sitting out there. You have all the cap space, and so you sign Jadeveon Clowney. They are walking a weird tightrope where they're kind of half-ass trying to compete, which is very Cowboys. They want to be relevant and in the mix, and so they're making the moves that have no risk later to get guys to make them a little bit better today to go chase after 10 wins, which is better than losing a bunch of games. So they're walking a weird little tightrope, which was thrown off by Jerry getting real mad at Micah and feeling like you hurt me and lied to me and just running him out of town, which then now you have to scramble to try to figure out how the hell are we going to rush the passer. But they still kind of want to compete and be relevant, but they know that they can't win it all. So they're not going to do risky things. They're going to do less than risky things and hope that Dak can score 100 points a week, which is fun to watch. Oh, and let us not forget, the Cowboys love a former first-round pick. So how happy do you think Jerry is going to be that he gets to say we have the number 1 overall pick? Not a first-round pick, number 1 overall pick. And you got him for nothing. I do agree with Emperor Goodwin here. Eberflus is an I-has scheme coordinator, regardless of whether the players fit or not. And we do need Agent Zero back. I would imagine that that'll still be, what month are we in, September? I think next month would be great. The month after might be more likely. And Jason said, did they overrate Easy? I hope not. And obviously, 3 weeks into a rookie season is not a time for a judgment on a player. I've seen him play a lot of football, and I think Ezeraku is going to be a good player. I think the world is a lot different, and your expectations for a guy change big time when you take away the guy who gets all the attention and still dominates. Then you become an afterthought. Ezeraku as a rookie with Micah out there, I thought had a chance to be really good. Now it's up to you as a guy without any other player that is drawing all of the attention. Kenny Clark's a good player. O's is a good player. But you don't have anybody that coordinators are going, oh my God, which sure is fun when you're not that guy and you get to be a pass rusher. So anyway, the Cowboys signed Clowney, and your boy likes it. I'll tell you that. We'll see. He's getting older. No camp, no nothing. We'll see how quick he can be ready. But I do think Clowney helps this team. And I salute them for signing him. That is not the bun. It is the hot dog.
Now this is a hot dog bun.
I think it's a hot dog, too.
Can
we get a middle linebacker with some speed? Can we offer Kuechly? They could use, if your goal is to win the Super Bowl, then right now you're scrambling to figure out how do we add a linebacker? How do we add a cornerback? How do we add our third best defensive tackle? And then you're working. And we'll talk about offensive tackle later. They got some stuff. We got some stuff. Do we know how long Turpin is out for? We do not know how long anybody's out for yet, but I would say Jeff's incredibly reckless speculation is that Turpin will be fine, whether it's this week or like maybe 1 week, maybe. And BB will be longer. And that's just my totally reckless speculation that we'll ask Clarence Hill about at 11 a.m. Because when your ankle swells up this big, you might have done some stuff. It might be a month for BB. Totally guess. Who do you bench, Fowler or Williams? I don't think it's about benching anybody. You don't necessarily have to make anybody inactive. You can make somebody inactive at a different position and just get Clowney out there. But my guess would be that Sam Williams doesn't have to be the guy who plays the most snaps amongst your edge guys because he's just one of the very few that they view as, well, you can kind of rush passer, you can kind of play the run, whereas most of their other guys, they view it as one or the other, and Clowney can be both also. So Sam Williams just doesn't have to play mostly. If you had to replace Guyton or Steele for Nate Thomas, which one do you pick? That's a tough decision. So Guyton, just because he is so young and has missed basically both training camps, I would let him keep going. If you wanted to try replacing Terrence Steele and you think it wouldn't break him, I'm fine with that. Because he's the one that, we've been doing this for a decade, and I know what I got. Shout out to Dak being able to handle his offensive tackles losing. But, yeah, that would be a spot that we could work on, too. Yeah, that would be a spot, too. All right, peace out, everybody. I'm going to see you at 11 o'clock on the DLS Cowboys podcast. Remember that you have no idea what anybody's going